guys, this is Manav from Kantivi Robotics. I am an undergrad student currently enrolled in Electronics and Communication Engineering and a learner myself on the field of data science. I have this motto that I keep up to myself, that knowledge shared is knowledge squared. Now for this lecture, I would also request you to take a pen and a paper because I will be explaining and talking more on this part, and you might want to keep a hold of that. Welcome to this beginner to advanced course on Python. This course is basically divided into three main parts. Part 1, where you will be learning about the Python fundamentals like basic data types, decision making, loops, and much more. Part 2, after that we will be learning about file handling, classes, and different important libraries related to data science like NumPy, Matplotlib, Seaborn, Beautiful Soup. And finally, this series will end up after learning deep learning with a library or package called PyTorch 0 to GANs. So what I also want you to know is that you will just not be watching videos and following the process along the way, but I will also be providing you with many resources like PDF, ebooks, videos, links to different topics, and then exercises too. As for the first topic today, let's try to know what programming really is. Let's try to know what an application is. Why do you need an application? Why do you want to talk to your computer? What really is talking to your computer means? Then let's try to know what really makes a programmer. What do you need to be called as a programmer? And then why are we learning Python? Out of all these hundreds programming languages that we have today, why are we learning Python? What are its advantages over the other languages? So let's start with day 1 lecture. Firstly, let's try to know what programming really is. Programming, as per my view, is the most creative thing one can learn how to do. If you learn to paint, you can create pictures. If you learn to play the violin, you can make music. But if you learn to program, you can create an entirely new experience, and you can make pictures and music too if you wish. Once you've started on the field of programming, there's no limit on where you can go. There are always new devices, technologies, and marketplace where you can use your programming skill. Programming is defined by most of the people as earning huge sums of money doing something that nobody can understand. What I define programming as is determining a solution to a given problem, expressing it in the form that a computer system can understand and a computer system can execute it. Now, firstly, let's know why you want a computer system to understand, why you want to talk to your computer system. Having a conversation with your computer might sound like a script of science fiction movie. Talking to a machine may seem quite odd at first, but it's necessary because a computer can't read your mind, not until this video is being made. Even if computer did read your mind, it will still be communicating with you. Nothing can occur without the exchange of information between you and the machine. Whether it be like reading your email, playing games, finding the best gift for your girlfriend, these are all different types of communication that can occur between you and your machine. In most cases, the communication takes place in a manner that it is nearly invisible to you unless you really go depth on it. For example, when you are on a chat room online, you might think that you are communicating with the other person. However, that is not the case. You are actually communicating with your computer. Your computer is communicating with the other person's computer, and then the other computer is communicating with the next person. All this communication between a machine and another machine, a machine and a human between another human, takes place by the help of an application. So an application can also be described as a form of communication. You can use one application to answer your email, the other application to purchase good, and other to create a presentation like I have done here. An application, in short called an app, provides the means to express human ideas to computer in a matter that a computer can only understand. To accomplish this goal, the application relies on one or more procedures that tells the computer how to perform the tasks related to the manipulation of the data and its presentation. What you see on the screen here is a video, but to see that information, the computer requires procedures for retrieving the data from the disks or from the wave as for now, and putting it into a form that you can understand and then presenting it to you. Now, what we should know is that a computer requires a special language for it to understand. Human language is quite complex and difficult for a computer to understand. Even applications such as Siri have serious limits in understanding what you are saying. Over the years, computers have gained capability to input human speech as data and to understand certain spoken words as commands. But computers still don't understand human speech to any significant degree. Computers could never rely on human speech to understand the procedures you write. Computers always take things literally, so you would end up with completely unpredictable results if you were to use a human language to write an application, or if you were to use a human language to communicate with the computer. As an example, let's consider a doctor's instruction. Drink your medicine after a hot bath. We would probably take a hot bath and then drink our medicine. A computer, however, would drink the hot bath and then drink its medicine. That's why humans use a special language called programming language to communicate with computers. These special languages make it possible to write procedures that are both specific and completely understandable by both humans and computers. Computers quite don't actually speak any language, but they use binary codes to flip the switches internally and to perform math calculations. They don't even understand letters. They only understand numbers, at least zeros and ones. A special application turns a computer-specific language that we use to write a procedure into binary codes. We really don't need to worry too much about the low-level specific of how computers work at the binary level. However, it's interesting to know that computers speak math and numbers, not really a language at all. Now, let's hop into the most important part of this lecture. What really makes a programmer? If you have not programmed before, don't worry. Programming is not a rocket science. The hard part about learning to program is that when you start to get hit with lots and lots of ideas and concepts, it can be confusing. However, if you think learning to program sounds like challenging work and that you might not be able to do it, I strongly suggest you that you should put those thoughts aside. Programming is as easy as organizing a birthday party for a bunch of kids. If you were organizing a kid's birthday party, you would have to decide who to invite. You would have to remember who wanted the vegetarian pizza and which kids can't sit next to each other without causing any trouble. You would also have to work out what presents each kid would take home and what everyone would do at the party. Here's a list that I've made, and if you can categorize a planning of a birthday party like this one, then you can actually program. What happens in program is a little bit different than this, but the basic principles are the same. Now, I want you to take a hold of two things and remember these throughout the course. Firstly, you need to be able to solve the problem yourself before you can write a program. And after you can solve it yourself, then you can tell the computer what you're trying to do. You can also think of program as like a recipe. If you don't know how to bake a cake, then you can't tell someone how to bake a cake. And if you know how to bake a cake, but the person you're trying to does not understand the instruction, such as fold the flours and sugars into the mix, then you still can't tell him how to bake the cake. To create a program, you must take a solution that you have worked out and then write it down in simple steps that the computer can perform. Although programming is as easy as organizing a kid's birthday party, one should remember that programs can have life-threatening capabilities. For example, a doctor may use a spreadsheet you have written to calculate the doses of drugs for patient. In this case, a defect in the program could result in physical harm. For a deeply scary description of what can go wrong when programmers don't pay attention to the fundamentals, search in the web for Therac 25. Programs like computers can also be called as data processors. The data goes into the computer does something with it, meaning that the computer processes the data, and the data comes out of the computer at any form, in a text or on any output device. What form of the data takes as an input and what form of the data comes at an output is entirely up to us. And as I told earlier that a program is like a recipe, let us look at this example here. The cook plays the role of the computer and the recipe is the program that controls what the cook does with the ingredients. A recipe can work with many different ingredients and a program can work with many different inputs too. For example, a program might take your age and the name of the movie you want to see and provide with an output that determines whether you can see that movie or not based on the suitability rating. Now, let's go to the main topic of why we are here today. Now, what really is Python? Now, Python can also be regarded as data processor. The code written in Python, that is the Python commands, is taken as input by the Python engine. Then the commands are then processed and then the output is shown to the user. Why are we learning Python? Out of all these thousands languages we have today, why are we learning Python? Many programming languages are available today. In fact, a student can spend his entire semester in college studying computer languages and still not hear about them all. Programmers keep creating new languages and it's for a good reason because each language has something special to offer, something it does exceptionally well. In addition, as computer technology evolves, so do the programming languages in order to keep up with the evolving technology. Because creating an application is all about efficient communication, many programmers know multiple programming languages so that they can choose the right language for a particular task. One might work better to obtain data from database and the other might create user interface elements especially well. As with every other programming language, Python does something exceptionally well and you need to know what they are before you begin to use it. You might be amazed by the really cool things you can do with Python. Knowing a programming language's strengths and its weaknesses helps us use it better, as well as we can avoid frustration by not using the language for things it does not do well. The following section helps you make these sorts of decisions about Python. Python code is usually 2 to 10 times shorter than comparable code written in languages like C, C++, C#, and Java, which means that we will be spending less time writing our application and more time using it. A programming language is like any other language in the world. We need to be able to read it to understand what it does. Python code tends to be easier to read than the code written in other languages, which means we will be spending less time interpreting it and more time making essential changes on the code. Before we end this topic right here, let's know about which organizations use Python. Python is really quite good at tasks that it was designed to perform. In fact, that's why a lot of large organizations use Python to perform at least some application development tasks. Large organizations that use Python the most are like Google, NASA, Red Hat, Instagram, Amazon, and much more. That's it for today. Day 2, we will be learning about installing Python on your machine. We will be doing actual coding with basic data types like numbers, string, lists, tuples, booleans, and operators in Python. Your feedbacks and questions are much appreciated, and you can send your feedbacks here at the comment or on my mail or on my Facebook and Instagram page. Do like and share the video so that it can reach to people out there wanting to learn Python programming but don't know where to actually start from. Thank you. See you on the next lecture. Stay safe, stay skilled with Python.